Hey, folks, it is November the 17th, and we're going over the first half of chapter 22. We're having a late start today because we had a fire drill. And as a reminder, we're going to have a lecture today and another lecture video tomorrow. But Thursday and Friday, we're not going to have a lecture video. I'm going to post an assignment for you right before Thanksgiving break. And then you can be finished and off for the week. So, all right. So we're going to give class just some time to go over the chapter. Once again, it's the first half of chapter 22. Okay, you turn around. Does anybody need more time?
No.
Hey, folks, go ahead and spend a few minutes discussing the following terms up on the board. We have the king Nunus Pompilius, Tullus Hostilius, the Herati, and the king Ancus Marcius. So go ahead, I have 3 minutes to discuss with your neighbors. Yeah.
I will listen to.
Sure. right, so that's time, folks. Hey, let's see. So first off, our images for the day. So, hey guys. All right, so once again, remember, and I had this problem last year. I had a couple of kids who, for some reason, forgot Rome is in the modern country of Italy.
Yeah,
So
Rome, Italy. Rome, Italy.
for the love of everything, don't forget that. I'm serious. I had a couple of kids last year actually forget that, and that's like,
High school.
Yeah.
Bruh.
so it's like, so don't be one of those ones, right? Like that's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed of that. If you forget that Rome is in Italy, you should be embarrassed. All right, so here's a map of some of remember a lot of places in Italy were colonized by the Greeks. So you see here, like all of these are Greek city-states that were founded in the southern part of Italy. Greek city-states were founded all the way up into Spain, like up to France, way, way up the boot. So that's why you have a lot of Hellenistic culture from the Greeks come to Italy. That's why their gods look the same. And the way they dress. Hey, Jaden, this is the last one I'm going to give you. Moving right on. All of those things. There's a lot of mountains within Italy. So up here, of course, you have the Alps separating it from like the Germanic lands. But up and down the spine, we call these the Apennine Mountains, going all the way up and down here. And so Rome is over here, and so it separates a lot of it from the eastern part.
Imagine
Well, yeah, it's kind of towards the center, but you'll see Rome. One of its characteristics we're going to find out later is that Rome is kind of close to the sea, but not that close, not close enough to have a port. And so the people are going to be more like land-based than the Greeks. The Romans are going to be very superstitious and fearful of the ocean for a very long time, and they're going to refuse to build a navy because of it.
Yeah, they didn't really like Poseidon Neptune for some reason.
Well, I don't know why, but it's probably because they just saw themselves as landlubbers. Right? Before we had the founding of Rome, there's an ancient people there who
Is that a guy or a girl?
that's supposed to be a woman,
Okay.
and this is from a people called the ancient Etruscans. And so the Etruscans are people whose language doesn't exist anymore. We don't have any of their writings left over. Though the Romans did say that they had writings and they had their own language. Their culture is very similar to the Greeks in many ways, but a lot of it's mystery to us. Most of what we know and remember about the Etruscans were passed down from Romans, or we find from archaeological digs such as tombs. So this is a sarcophagus with a statue on it. So you see a woman lounging for a meal, because in Italy, people usually laid down on their side whenever they ate.
That's weird.
Yeah, that's a cultural thing. So we see here's some artwork. In many ways, it looks like Minoan artwork we've seen in the past. So like dancing, stuff like that. One thing we know about their art is that though the Romans were early on very male-centric, the Etruscans, their art indicates that men and women probably had similar status in their societies. You see the double flute.
It looks like the guy had his
Olives.
name is Jones. Is that fine? Where he has got the two flutes in his nose.
Yeah. See, they have like a lyre or lyre. Here's an Etruscan vase.
That's a weird shaped face.
It is a weird shaped vase.
And those
It looks like a little submarine.
Yeah, I know, right? Like it's something you find in cultures across the world. In India, it was the symbol of peace, if I remember right.
How would they kept their mom's ashes in?
Well,
No, I
gross.
think they kept the water in there, but
this is why
Then
not.
why would it have a pouring spout? They're supposed to pour
This is
the
why
ashes.
they probably made it like that to fit in extra wine.
Maybe so. Yeah, maybe it's like here's my cup. It holds a little extra. Here's a bronze chimera.
What?
It's like mythical animal from Greek mythology. This is the first, or like non-mythic king, Numa Pompeius. So he was known for being like a great rule giver, right? So he made a lot of structure in their society, and he taught the Romans a lot according to their belief about their religion, and he set down their priesthood. So Romans are going to be a very by the rule religious people, kind of like the Spartans. They get very worried if the omens aren't right, or if you don't properly observe what the sky people want and all those things. And so he's also going to appoint a head priest called the Pontius Maximus, which means the great bridge builder. And that's where a lot of the things that the early Christian church adopted Roman terms. And so that's why the Pope was called Pontius Maximus, the great bridge builder, and something we keep today. The religious center of Rome, it's known as the city with seven hills, and one of those hills is Capitoline Hill, which has many of its temples to like Jupiter and so forth, where also a lot of major decisions were made. Much like the Greeks, it's kind of semi-fortified. It's a place where people could go last resort to escape their enemies. But the walls, of course, were on the outside of the city. The Herati, this is a story of three brothers, not twins, but triplets, which is extremely rare in nature.
So we got two sets of triplets all fighting each other.
Well, yeah. And so this was like seen as like to have twins was seen as a sign of good luck to the Romans.
And then imagine just having three.
Yeah, having triplets, which is called super twins, is like
Quadruple.
it's a famous painting. Here they are taking an oath in front of their father that they will meet the challenge against the Curiati in a duel.
And then one of them just straight up kills his mom. Like that's so messed up.
Well, how it works out is
I
that
thought, right, it was his sister.
yeah, they
I
meet
thought
the
it was
other
his
three.
mom.
Yeah, they meet the other three. They have a duel, and then the last one standing kind of outruns the wounded Curiati and takes them out one
No,
by
he
one.
runs, and then when they get to him, he'll just turn around and stab them, and he'll start running again.
I mean, it's pretty smart. If you fight three people at once, you're not doing so well. But if you channel and funnel them to where you can do one-on-one, you got better odds. And then he comes home to a great big victory parade, but his sister recognized that he slew her husband. And so
And
he runs her through because he said she was a traitor.
it's like, oh, bruh, we were married. Bruh, they
Yeah.
were married.
Almost. They weren't married. They were about to be married.
Well, we're going to
Their
find
fiance.
that
That's still pretty
Romans will find it very patriotic to slay their own family members for Rome. It's like Rome is like the thing you live for, kind of like the Spartans were for Sparta. They have that same characteristic where the city-state, the government, the people of Rome are more important than even family. So you'll see this as a reoccurring theme in Roman morals. Let's do that later. So yeah, I forgot who painted this, but it's pretty famous painting.
All right.
Of course, we got a couple of other kings too. So,
Why is he holding the swords with a blade?
well, that I can't say, but a lot of ancient
Blood
swords
should
you'll
just be
find,
pouring down his head.
these obviously aren't real Roman swords because Roman swords back then would probably been more of what we would have thought as a long dagger, or long knife, because this is way before even the time of the legionnaires.
And look how those are like all different swords and all different helmets.
There was scimitar in there.
Yeah, our saber, yeah,
Like, how
like a
did
really
they
thick
make
one.
those?
So this is, you got to remember though, this is a post-Renaissance painting. So whoever painted this was probably looking at swords that they had around in the city, and they're like, yeah, that looks cool. So it was idealized.
painted.
I don't know. And that's one thing we have. Some of the best artwork we have of the Roman period are like Italians who paint about these things like 1,000 or 2,000 years later. So But they don't know a lot of what things are like. Archaeology wasn't really a field yet, so we're not sure. Like they had good things as far as like the idea of human anatomy and stuff like that, and motion. And whenever it comes to props, not so much, not historically accurate. And you see the oath they're taking. That's the Roman salute. And who do you know that adopts the Roman salute later in the 20th century? Yeah, the Nazis. The Nazis are going to adopt a lot of Roman features and Spartan features because they think it legitimizes them, right? So like, hey, we're a great society like the Romans. So they take these things and shape them for their own desires. So, hey, Numa Pompilius. So what was the deal with that guy?
Oh, he was chosen because the Sabine peoples wanted like someone of their race or something.
Yeah,
So
Sabine king.
the Romans agreed as long as they got to choose the king.
Yeah, and remember that was the Senate. So the Senate got to choose the king if the king didn't have a firstborn son. So Romulus didn't have one. And we're going to find that throughout Rome's kings, they're going to choose kings from other tribes. And eventually it's going to be the Etruscans. And they're going to get really mad at the Etruscans later. We're going to see. So what did he do?
Like maybe wasn't he actually a pretty good king? He wanted to keep peace.
Yeah, so he was peaceful. What did he teach them? Yeah,
How to worship.
peaceful. Taught Rome how to worship their gods. And so what's important about that is we're seeing not only the definition of good government start being formed for the Romans, but also their culture. Because religion is extremely important to a people's culture. You can find this in like deep, rich cultures throughout the world. No matter what continent you go to, you will find that their religion is one of their defining parts of their culture, as far as why they dress, their habits, their customs, what shapes their language and their morals and their laws, their holidays. Anything else about that guy? Numa Pompilius.
Their flash feelings.
He became king. Yeah, well, duh.
Bro,
Okay, yeah. So he's king number 2.
he's a terrible king. What?
For savage.
We don't really get to. Oh, so you're talking about Tullius, right?
No, king number 2 was Numa. Because king number
Numa.
1 was Romulus.
So 3, Tullus Hostilius. What was he like?
Very
They're
good.
mean
hostile.
savage.
I
He
mean,
was
Yeah,
wrong for war.
Hostilius. Yeah. So
He was
warlike king. What did he do?
Killed a bunch of people and didn't observe the gods' rights.
Oh yeah, the gods were mad at him.
Yeah, yeah.
warlike, not
They
enough.
burned him and
Not
set his own house.
absolutely.
So not pious. So, and the lesson there, remember, these guys are semi-mythic kings. They're real people, but they had mythical stories. And so what we see is that there's a moral story here that if they forget their religion, if they forget their culture, if they just focus on being barbaric, bad things happen at home, like lion strikes, right? So not pious.
There's a plague and he got killed and set his own house. Well, they burned him.
Yeah.
Lightning struck his house.
Yeah, so had bad luck and a plague, which is no good. Nobody wants a plague. And so they didn't understand germ theory. So yeah, a plague was
You got bad
something-
blood. You got bad blood.
Yeah, but yeah, plague was because, you made the sky people mad at you. So Jupiter
It
sent
is
some
what it is.
internal illness upon you and your family.
So the Hort said
Horati. So remember whenever
triplets who got into a battle with other triplets and
Yeah. One thing though, one pointer is whenever you're reading Latin, you have to pronounce every vowel. There's no such thing as a silent vowel in Latin. And the I sound is always the E. So Horati. So Horati. So you have to make the E sound twice.
And
So-
V sound like a W. What do you mean? Oh, nothing.
Yeah. If you're doing like Golden Age Latin, yeah, it has to be a W sound for the V.
Horatia.
Yeah, and in a standard like English accent, yeah, we'd say Horatia, right? So kind of like
Americanized.
there's some Latin words we just pronounce it like in English, so we use it like But this would be Horati. Like the I sound, you need the diphthong AE for that. Have y'all talked about diphthongs and stuff like that in Latin?
Yeah.
That's cool. So Horati, so yes, Roman triplets, like you said. Who, what they do again? Odd.
Other triplets are, no.
Yeah. The what was it Curiati? Was that how you spell it? Is there an I there? So here's the deal. So there was a battle. Tullus Hostilius was very warlike. He wanted to beat up his neighbors, like what was it, the Alba Longus people or something like that. And so when he's fighting these people, they say, hey, look, we would love to team up with you against the Etruscans, who are people we both don't like. How about we have peace and team up? He says, okay, but we still need to have some sort of battle. And so he's going to have a duel. And so they have triplets versus triplets, which was just like a big spectacle to their armies, I'm sure. And they had this duel. The Horati won. And then, see, Rome won. What did the surviving brother do?
Kill the all three of them.
Yeah.
Brother, kill the sister.
You spelled one incorrectly. It's W-O-N.
Oh, yeah, I did.
Rome one. Rome
Yeah.
was their white.
How did you spell it?
I don't know. All right, there we go. So the surviving Horati, and this is where we get the word Horatio from, like from Shakespeare. He doesn't. So he was a big student of Roman history. Slew his sister for mourning
Morning.
for the enemy. You know, it's her husband. So it has a, yeah, he did it. Like they were like, wow, this is a grave sin that he did this to his own sister. However, at the same time, to the Romans, they're like, but she should have sided with Rome no matter what, even against her own family. So Ancus Marcius, there's not a lot said there about him, but what is said about him? The fourth king of Rome.
He was a guy.
Is he a guy? Yeah. What about
A grandson of King Julian.
him? Okay. So he's of royal blood. What was his character like?
He was both a warrior and he prayed a lot.
Ah, yes. Let's see. Was pious.
What is pious mean?
A pious person is somebody who's religiously observant, right? Was pious, but also very successful warrior.
Where's you?
So,
What is it, king number 4?
yes, king number 4. So, we're going to stop there with that. There's more information on all of these kings and people in my Quizlet sets. So if you go to Quizlet and if you check out chapter 22 later, you can find out more information that's in our book or what we talked about today. So, hey folks, that's going to end it for today's lecture. We'll have one more this week tomorrow over the second half of this chapter, and then we'll meet again after Thanksgiving week.